Hello and welcome to What's New with Red Hat Advanced Cluster Security. This session is all about the 4.1 release coming out on June 26th. Today I'm joined by Kirsten Newcomer, Director of Cloud and DevSecOps Strategy here at Red Hat. I'm Mike Foster. I'm the Community Lead for StackRox and Product Marketer here at Red Hat. Kirsten, we had a bunch of big announcements that happened at Summit. I was hoping that we could talk roadmap, talk about the cloud service first and the 4.0 launch before we get into what's new with 4.1. Does that sound good?
Absolutely, that'd be great. And actually, we have a recap on the next slide of what's been happening recently with ACS. And as you just said, big announcement at Red Hat Summit. Advanced Cluster Security Cloud Service is now available, limited availability. So that does mean you need to connect with your Red Hat account team to access it, but it's also available on the AWS Marketplace. We're so excited to be able to offer this as a managed service, minimize the amount of work you need to do to get huge benefit from Red Hat Advanced Cluster Security.
Yeah, and part of that cloud service, we launched ACS 4.0, which was the first major update in, I think, 6 years since StackRox and the acquisition from Red Hat. Some big changes.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest change being moving away from RoxDB as our backend database to PostgreSQL, which really helps our performance and scalability. We also added RHEL Core OS scanning, so node level scanning to ACS for RHEL Core OS, a bunch of other things that you see here. And there is a What's New in 4.0 available, so you'll be able to look at that presentation as well if you want to do a deep dive.
Yeah, that link will be in the description if you want to catch up, along with all the other what's new and the what's next that's coming next month. ACS 4.1, we had 5 things that we really wanted to highlight, maybe a couple more that we squeezed in. Just so you can see the points, we have Vulnerability Management Workflow 2.0 that's coming out. We have Cloud Service Access to On-Prem Registries, managing ACS Auth and Z configuration as code, an option to force certificate rotation, and core BPF as a new collection method in tech preview. I want to jump into each one individually. Let's do vulnerability management workflow first, because I feel this is the one I'm most excited about for this release. So,
Yeah.
Kristen, go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, we've been investing a lot. One of the key things that we think is going to be really helpful to everybody is to make a clearer separation between node level, platform level, and workload level CVEs. So as we're stepping into Vuln Management 2.0, you can see that there is a tech preview for a workload CVE view that you get to test drive. We're really looking forward to feedback on that. This provides, again, purpose-built workflows, make it easier for you to get the information that the dev teams need to address vulnerabilities in their workloads. There will be more coming as we continue to invest in vuln management, but we're really excited to deliver this in 4.1.
And I know our ACS PMs are looking for feedback, so make sure to update June 26th and let us know what you think about the new workflow. Moving on, so the ACS Cloud Service, like I said, launched May 15th in limited availability. You can go try it out now through the AWS Marketplace. We're adding on-prem registry access as a 4.1. Care to take us through it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So again, even though it's a cloud service, ACS, for those of you who are familiar, can be used to secure multiple clusters, and ACS Cloud Service can secure your clusters running in the cloud and your clusters running on premises, whether that, for OpenShift, for AKS, EKS, and GKE as well. And so for clusters running on premises, of course, to do vuln management, we need to access your on-premises registry. And because it's a cloud service, we're able to make these updates quickly. And we've added that to 4.1. Stay tuned. We'll be sort of seeing rolling updates to ACS Cloud Service. But this is a key thing, right, to ensure that you can have local scanning for on-premises registries.
For sure. Moving on. So managing ACS auth n/z configuration as code, managing access in an audible and easy way. I know this is a roadmap item and there's more to come, but take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. So really, moving towards, so we've had scoped access control in ACS for quite some time, right? But we want to make it easier for our customers to manage setting up that access control at scale and to make it auditable. And everything as code really is becoming a thing, right? Plus, we're working with Kubernetes, which is declarative. So we want to make it easy for you to configure authentication and authorization for ACS in a declarative way. And to manage that as code, you can store those configurations in Git repos and reapply them as needed to multiple centrals, or if you need to redeploy central for any reason, you can again reapply that. So this is the beginning of our solution with config maps or secrets mounted into central. In a future version, we'll be looking to provide better ways to directly apply the configuration in the cluster in a secure and scalable way.
Amazing. And now into a more security-focused change, forcing certificate rotation. This is sort of a break glass feature, I feel like, right?
Well, honestly, I think of this as in combination with the previous one, is both about making sure that we're making it easy for you to secure using ACS itself, right? You want to be sure that you have an easy way to manage access controls for ACS and a way to manage certificate rotation. So this is a common request. And yes, it can be used for break glass if there was a security breach. You want to force rotation of all the ACS certificates. However, it's also possible that down the road, you might just want to do this on a regular basis. And so we're going to make it even easier to do this certificate rotation in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I believe there's a caveat that obviously only admins can do this through the admin UI. Non-admins won't see these sort of features, and this is only through the UI today, but post the MVP, we're going to look for support in roxctl and Helm as well. So you can do it as part of your deployment or update process and automate that as well. Cool.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling that out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the last major things that we wanted to highlight, along with two other small ones, was core BPF as a new collection model. So we used to have kernel modules that was deprecated and removed. We moved to eBPF as the standard, and now we're introducing core BPF as a new collection method.
Right. So the advantage of core BPF, right, is that this gives us a way to do a compile once, run anywhere BPF approach. That means that we also don't need to load kernel objects from central. It makes it easier for us to support new Linux versions as well, whether it's Red Hat Enterprise Linux or other Linux versions that you might be using with a non-OpenShift environment. And so this reduces risks with upgrades, improves infrastructure capabilities, and it also makes it easier for our offline customers to update without having to download a new support package.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, less comments in the chat about what version of Linux are you using. I know that's going to cut down on some engineering and diagnostics time, so very exciting. All right, the last two little things that I wanted to get in there as part of the roadmap update were, like you said, we're doing a little bit of a policy changes, and there's some things in the UI that we just want to make a little bit more intuitive. So policy criteria, actually, I'll just let you take it away, Kirsten. I don't know why I'm
Sure,
jumping.
cool. Yeah, no
Go for
worries
it.
at all. So this is kind of the first step in an overall planned policy overhaul. So we want to make it, as the first step, make it easier to avoid errors in policies, right? So we're updating our descriptions for policy criteria, both in the UI and the docs, to make them more understandable, easier to use. And also, if a criteria is not applicable for a particular life cycle or life stage, build, deploy, run, it's not going to be presented to you while you're building your policy. And we also want to make it clearer when a policy is coming from out of the box with ACS, that would be a system policy, and when you as a user might have actually created the policy itself. So you have a clearer understanding between custom policies and out of the box ACS policies. Again, we have a lot more to do in this space. Looking forward to providing additional updates as we continue our improvements.
Mm-hmm. Yes, stay tuned for the what's next coming next month, right, Kirsten?
You're right, absolutely.
Yeah, and then the last thing that we want to highlight is part of the continued investment in shift left network policy. For those who saw our KubeCon session, and let's say we're trying to solve a problem that's been in Kubernetes for over 6 years, and that's how do we apply network policies in a way that is efficient, that teams can actually do as part of the pipeline, or we can just do it asynchronously. And that's part of the netpool generate project and roxctl netpool generate. So we can go and create those network policies automatically at the developer side and make sure that our network controls have sort of a zero trust default, let's say, since Kubernetes is so permissive. We're adding visualization into that creation, that netpool generate creation, so you can see the connections for each of your deployments and how they connect to each other. And this is all done at the CLI level, correct?
Absolutely, right. So you get this little graph that pops up when you run the CLI command, and you don't have to wait until you're looking at ACS and seeing those connections there. So it makes it easier for you to evaluate that generated network policy that's written in YAML. This visualization makes that more understandable.
Awesome. Yes, look forward to more things, and especially, like I said, the roadmap coming up next month. Kirsten, I think that's all the time we had for today. Is there any final thoughts, opinions,
Nope, as you
announcements?
said, stay tuned for what's next.
Stay tuned for what's next. Kirsten, thanks so much, and see you next month.